Hello and welcome back to the Macca's Talk Hockey Podcast, the podcast where me and my brother Charlie talk about English ice hockey, specifically the NIHL. And Charlie is back. It's been 2 weeks without him, but he's back on the podcast. How was your trip to Japan?
Yeah, it was really good. It was a bit mental. It was a busy trip. I was quite jet lagged when I got back and got welcomed back into Milton Keynes. But yeah, it was a really good trip. I got a lot of editing to do, and my first vlog comes out 1st of November, which is really exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been really good. Really fun trip. But I'm quite happy to be back in England in the cold ice rinks.
Yeah. As much as you do talk, there has been a lot of people missing you on the podcast, so it'd be good to get your insight back again. We do miss Dad a bit, don't we, Dan? But yeah,
Yeah.
Dad'll come on whenever he needs to. But yeah, if you do want to follow Charlie to see his vlogs and support him, Macca Explores, I think it is.
Yeah, so Macca,
Um,
the Macca's taught hockey,
yeah,
and then explores. If you don't
yeah,
know how to spell that, then
That's an original name, mate. Well done.
yeah. Nice one.
Really original.
But yeah,
never
so
got paid.
you're editing. You need to start editing that or get that up when you can. But yeah, we've got Dan as with us as well, of course. Yeah, I need to kind of put you into the title. I don't know. We can't change Macca's Talk Hockey, but I think everyone
Yeah.
associates you with us now. And we also had a special guest. We got a player interview. We interviewed Ethan James earlier, Charlie. A really nice interview. Ethan is a top lad. And he had some cool stories to tell as well, didn't he, Charlie?
Yeah, it was actually a really nice interview. He's just a nice guy. And
Yeah.
he's funny and he's got the best trim in the league.
Yeah, good little chat about hockey. And it's always cool to see like a goalie's perspective on things as well, because they've got different hockey worlds compared to the forwards and defensemen. So yeah, it was a good little interview, and we'll cut that in probably at the start, and then you'll hear us review all the games. But we'll go into the news, and then we'll get into the interview. And there's not actually that much news. We spoke before recording. Yokoyama obviously got released. We talked about that, Dan, from Telford. And there was loads of rumours circulating. Where's he going to end up? And he has ended up at Romford as cover for Leishram, who is currently out injured. And Charlie, I'll come to you first. Pardon me. He went to Romford, and he kind of fits in, didn't he? He's a Romford kind of player, isn't he?
Yeah, I think it was the perfect move for him really because Leisha's injured and I think with injury covers and like coming on a non-permanent basis, there's less pressure, so players often perform. There's not a pressure; it's kind of just come in, play your own game, and then you will be gone eventually, most likely. Um, and so yeah, there's less pressure. I remember Basingstoke got what was his name, Dan?
Marek Malinsky.
They got a guy called Marek Malinsky from Romford, and it was very similar to Yokohama because they ended up playing the team which released them, and both of them turned up against the team which got released. So yeah, it was a good move from Romford, and it's important in a season which is every game seems tight. Having an extra import when you've got an import out is crucial. They're not always available, so having that import cover is massive for Romford, and it showed this weekend.
I'm sure he saw that Romford were playing Telford on that first weekend, and he was like, "Yeah, okay, I'll sign with you boys. See how it goes, Dan."
Yeah, I know. He's one of them guys that would want to shown a statement. He just you can tell just the way he plays and the way he's obviously throwing himself around. He's got an ego about him. So yeah, he would have been loving it playing against Telford and obviously having a really good weekend as well.
Yeah, we'll talk about it in a bit. But yeah, the other news was Thomas Brown got released by Romford, and then they've brought in Owen Ryder, who gets an opportunity at the national level, and he's been doing quite well with Invicta. And a lot of Invicta fans are saying that he's a very solid keeper. So again, it's just a backup for Ethan, who can take the pressure off Ethan to play 50 games in the season. And Ethan talks a bit about that and how much. Load it can be when you're playing every single night with 50 shots on you. So yeah, Owen Ryder signed with the Raiders. And apart from that, I don't think there's too much. It wasn't too dirty this weekend. I think the only one which was being checked was Buesa, who got a check to the head penalty. So Dops are checking that, but that will come out on Thursday. like they always do. So yeah, I think that's all the news. We'll cut to the Ethan James interview now. We hope you enjoy that, and then after that, we'll talk about all the results from the weekend. So welcome back. We've got another special guest on the podcast. Charlie, do you want to introduce him?
Yes, we'd like to welcome on a very special player. He is known for having the best hair in the league. Oh, yeah, and he's pretty good in goal as well. So we'd like to welcome on Romford's goalie, who's on a hot form streak, Ethan James. How you doing, mate?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on, boys.
How have you found the season so far? It's definitely been a good little start for your boys, and it's been quite competitive as well at the top.
Yeah, no, I think we've started quite well. Been getting some big wins when we needed them. It's just about staying consistent, really, at the moment, and just keep on with the momentum we've have. So yeah, no, it's been all right.
How have you found it then? Obviously, we'll go back to last season. Obviously, the season's finished. Is a bit. Oh, the cat's up there. Sorry. The season's finished. No one really knows what's going on with Romford, and then you get the new ownership coming in, and then the team starts building under Leish. How was that for you as a player?
Uh, so yeah, I remember I literally spoke to Sean one day, and he was like, "Look, we're gonna try and have another year going," and I was like, "Yep, sounds good." Then probably about 2 days later, he calls me back saying, "Yeah, I don't think it's gonna happen," and I was like, "Oh wow." So then obviously I needed to get on the phone, start trying to see what other options were.
Yeah.
Then maybe like a week or so later, Leish calls me. He's like, "Look, I'm going to step in. You're going to be a big piece. So let's try and build it." And obviously I knew the local guys that were going to stay are always going to be there. So I was like, it's always going to be a great group in the room. We got guys that can lead in the right ways. And I was like, let's get it. Like, let's see what we can do again. And obviously Leish is going to change how he wants to run things. And it's clearly working at the moment.
Yeah.
So we just got to keep going with it and see how it goes.
Yeah. Go on, Chaz.
Yeah, and you've had like kind of that new era, but the thing with Romford is it feels like the core stayed. They could have bailed shit, a lot of them, but they all kind of stuck together. I've spoken to TJ before, and that's the important part of Romford, isn't it?
Oh yeah, like we've got such a good room. Like all the guys get on. We can tell each other exactly what needs to be said at the right times. But we know at the end of the day, it's hockey, right? Like we're going to leave the rink, still be good mates. And that, to me, that's the most important thing, is having a good room.
Yeah. I think coming into the season, everyone kind of obviously there was a few players you'd signed who've been given big opportunities. We're looking at Aidan Wilson, obviously Nixon coming in as well. So it was kind of an unknown on what Romford or the Raiders would be like this season, because there was change. I know a lot of the players had stayed, but there was a lot of change, the new imports as well. But what was it like as a goalie coming in with quite a lot of new players in front of you?
Well, I knew from the start, like I had to be on my best game this year.
Yeah.
So I'm always excited to see new players. Like the imports we've got they're honestly a joke.
Yeah.
Like even in practice, I remember the first time that they were just ripping them. I was like, oh yeah, it's nice.
I'm glad that's not against me.
Yeah, exactly. Like we know we got to rely on them quite a bit, but everyone's been stepping up. Like if you look at the games we've won, we've been getting them from all different lines.
Yeah.
Like everyone seriously steps up big time.
Yeah, I agree. And what do you think has been the key to the good start you've had? Because we know the cup's massive at the moment. It's now only 10 games, so I think that gives quite a lot of teams a chance. And you guys are still definitely in the hunt for that top four. So what do you think it's been for quite the strong start for Romford?
You know what? Obviously, everyone was quite rightly writing us off this year. They were saying you're going to finish bottom. So when we went into our meeting, we said like we shut all of that out. We're going to go for it. Like, we don't need to be afraid of any team we play against. Just play your game and see what happens. And as you guys have seen, like, we've been getting late minute goals to go to overtime, winning in overtime, winning games in regulation. Like, it's honestly been a roller coaster, and it's only like 12 games in. But it's been fun. Like, it's definitely been fun, and we're going into every game thinking we can win it. As long as we play our game, we can win any game.
That's the beauty of the national. Go on, Charlie.
Yeah, and you love a Selly, don't you? I remember.
Oh yeah.
I remember the Swindon playoff game last year.
Yeah.
The little pump, I think it was.
Yeah.
But I thought one thing I was interested in is you came from a really good crop of players from probably one of the best academies in the UK, which was the Ockerhagen Academy in Swindon. What was it like playing there? You've obviously got a lot of mates around the league as well who've come through that academy. How was it like in the Ockerhagen with some pretty decent save percentages as well? I see a 9.64 here. So.
You know what? That was probably the biggest part of my hockey career, getting on the ice every day from 13 to 16, traveling around Europe, playing teams that we don't get that caliber of teams over here.
Yeah.
Like it was huge. It opened your eyes up to realize that I've still got a lot of work to do as well as I'm doing in England. Like if I want to try and be a good hockey player, like we still got to work on everything.
Yeah.
And then, like you're saying, we had good players, so training with them boys every day, like it's only going to make you better.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like you see, like Glennie just runs the show in the league when he wants to. Like it's really good. It was really good.
Well, actually, let's go back to the start then, because I'm sure a lot of people wonder why do players want to become goalies, getting pucks launched at you at 90 plus miles an hour in some shots? Like, what made you want to become a goalkeeper
Well,
or
so
a
I
goaltender?
started in roller hockey, and my
Yeah.
mum used to manage a team, so I was always around them. And then like I'll be around my uncle was playing, so they're all the older guys,
Yeah.
and I would just grab the goalie's catcher and blocker, and they'll be flicking the ball at me, and I was like, I love this. And then once I got to like 7, I think we were on holiday,
Yeah.
and my mum said, right, we're gonna get you your first proper kit. So then I was head first into a basket trying to get a catcher out of the bottom, and I said that I'm a goalie. I knew from then I knew I was going to be
Really?
a goalie. Yeah,
And then how did that kind of progress into ice hockey? And because you were born in London, right? So how did
yeah.
the move come about to then moving down south to Swindon?
So for me, it was just so through roller hockey, you're playing against. I think there was like a team called Stansted, which was a lot of the Chelmsford boys.
Yeah.
There was another team at the time called Havering Liberators. They were all like the Romford kind of boys, and they were forever telling me you need to get into ice hockey, get into ice
Yeah.
hockey. So I started doing quite well. Like made Southeast within my first year, and just kept progressing. And then moving to Swindon was pretty much Romford rink. It was their last. It was the last season the rink was open. I had started at Romford that season,
Oh, wow.
and during the summer I went to a Okanagan camp, which I won. I think it was through getting like an all-star at conference, so I got to go to the camp for free. And from there, like Steve Nell called my mum. Pete
Oh,
was on
nice.
my mum. They were like, "Look, we want Ethan to come," and yeah, my mum managed to make it happen. And yeah, just moved
All
down
from
to
there.
Swindon. Yeah, didn't regret it one bit. Like I say, just everything about it, going to all these different tournaments. It was awesome.
When we first started watching hockey, I remember we went to one of those tournaments, the Southeast. You've got the Scottish team as well. You've then
Yeah,
got it, those.
Northern
Were those some of
Midlands.
the were those some of the best like moments in your youth? Because it's just everyone comes together. It's a bit like Coventry actually, but
Yeah,
everyone comes together and you play loads of games.
honestly, it was awesome. Like it's all the best players within the country
Yeah.
playing for their part of the country, and yeah, it was awesome. Especially when it was in Hull. Like Hull used to be ram.
Really?
Like it's when you get to the under-17s final, you look around the rink, there was no seats. Like everyone was watching that game. And it was a good part of my childhood for sure.
Yeah.
And then
Go on, Chaz.
sadly you had to leave the beauty of Swindon to go to Canada, which sucks a bit in terms of location. But how is Canada? How did you find Canada? You were there for
Canada
quite a
was
lot of years,
awesome.
weren't you?
Yeah, I was there for like 4 and a bit of years. Like Canada was awesome. I made some really good friends out there, and I try to go over at least every other year, if not every year, just to go see all of the boys. Like it was so much fun, but the hockey as well. Again, training every day. I got to go out like do goalie coaching, goalie training out there, and it was awesome. It's just hockey, 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 and for me, I love hockey. I'm a hockey nerd, so just getting
Was
out there and just doing hockey, it was awesome.
we've had quite a few players come on. I think Jacob went out, didn't he? He went abroad and played.
Yeah,
Would you do you think that was a big reason why you've had quite a lot of you've been able to play in the national because you got that experience out in Canada as a
de-
goalie as well, which is quite a tough position to get that top spot.
definitely. like where they have that juniors where you can go from 16 to like 21. It allows you to grow, especially like when you're a younger player. You're playing against the older players, whereas here what you might play under 16s, under 18s. Like you're playing against bigger players, stronger players, faster players. So it does allow you to grow your game a lot quicker. And you know what? You're playing a lot of games over there. Whereas our juniors here, we play like 18 to maybe 20 maximum.
Yeah.
Like you can't beat that. Just playing games is where you learn most of the stuff, right? Like you can do everything in practice, but if you can't put it into the game, what's the point?
How many times were you on the ice when you were over in Canada? I'm guessing it was a lot more than over here.
So obviously being at OHA, it was probably about similar to them.
Yeah, actually, yeah. To be fair,
it was more the amount of games we played because we would probably have a minimum 2, sometimes 3 game weekends. And yeah, it's pretty similar to OHA, but training wise, we probably do about 4 days a week, a day of rest, and then games. And yeah, it was awesome.
Did you win anything out there in terms of like, did you win any championships or get close?
Yeah, we won two championships back to back.
Nice.
So that was pretty awesome.
What's it like? What's it like in Canada? Is the tournaments quite different out in Canada to how it is in the UK?
What do you mean by like we didn't do any tournaments? We just played league.
Oh, just league straight up.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
They do like showcases.
Okay.
So like you'll go. So our league was part of like the WSHL as well. Yeah. So they do like a big showcase in Vegas where you get a lot of like colleges are watching you and all of that. So that was quite awesome. Like when we went to Vegas, we played in the Vegas Golden Knights training rink.
Oh.
Got like when I was there, we got to watch them train, and I was like, "This is awesome."
Really?
Yeah, this was awesome.
Yeah, I went Fleury as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Flory and Subban at the time.
Oh, I see.
Not bad little players to watch.
It was pretty good. Like, I was obviously mesmerized with my video. I was like,
oh. What is it? I wanted to ask this because obviously we get a lot of goalies who are quite big goalies, but you're one of the goalies who are quite small. And we've seen some really successful goalies who are on the smaller end. Obviously, Stevie Lyle being the main one. He obviously played for Swindon, so we know him quite well. But what's it like being one of the smaller goalies? But you're probably the most mobile goalie in the league.
I don't let it faze me. Like, obviously, when I was trying to go college when I was in Canada, I would get a lot of, "Oh, you're a little bit too small.
Yeah.
We'll see you again next year. Hopefully, you've grown a little bit and all that." But I always got told just work on your skate, and as long as you can arrive to places on time, you're gonna give yourself a chance to make the save. Like I watch hockey a lot. Big goalies still don't make it to places on time. So like really and truly for me, I just go out, try and play my game, and see how it goes.
Yeah. That's the important thing. And while you were out in Canada, you were playing for GB under 18s and 20s. Yeah, was that must have been good fun?
Yeah,
coming back with the British boys.
That was real good fun. Like especially the one we, I want to say it was my second year 18s. We were like the tester event for the Winter Olympics, so we went out to South Korea.
Yeah,
and that was a pretty cool trip. And then obviously the last one I did was at home in Dumfries, which we were playing for gold, which sadly we didn't get. But that again, it was still a great experience.
Yeah, you've come through the era of when we kind of started watching hockey because we've been watching it for about 10 years. So we've seen all kind of the OHA boys kind of progress through their career. And it's really cool to see that you're still going at the national level as well.
Oh, so many OHA boys. It is. That academy was so sick because like you look at it now and you realize how good it was. Like you're looking at Swindon, you got Glennie and Luke, and then you've got Rutkiss, Toms. You got so many
Harry, Mac,
Ali.
The team was stacked. To be fair,
you can see why they've won all the time.
But that being on the ice every day developed them players from maybe being bottom 6 National League line players to being most of them are playing top 6 minutes.
Yeah.
Like you notice the difference between the guys who went OHA and the guys who played for their local teams. It played its part, didn't it?
Oh, 100%. 100%. Like you say, like getting on the ice every day makes a huge difference. You're getting to craft your skill every day. And you know what? Pete was an unbelievable coach.
Yeah.
Like the way he would break stuff down, even for me as a goalie. I know he was a goalie when he was younger, but
Yeah.
him as a player, goalie, like the way he could break stuff down was unbelievable.
Yeah. It's a shame it's not going ahead like it was, because it was such a good academy.
Yeah, it honestly was.
You obviously then had your seasons in Canada. What was it? You made the move to Romford. How did that come about? Obviously being back home.
So I think they had a load of injuries coming near Christmas time.
Yeah.
I was looking to move on anyway from my team. I was debating going to college that year.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what, let me go finish my juniors and then we see what happens after that. And then East gave me a call. He was like, oh, look, can you bring your kit home just to help us out with injury cover over Christmas? And then I spoke with my coach and he was like, you can't say no to it. So my coach was Sylvan, who's got his jersey retired at Hull. So he played for like Hull Stingrays. So he knows the British hockey setup and everything. And he was like, look, if you've got this opportunity, try and take it and see what happens with it.
Yeah.
So then I was speaking with East a little bit more. And then, I just ended up coming home, started playing well when I first got in. And it just went on from there pretty much.
Because that was the first season, I think, it was the first season back of the National League, wasn't it? Because the NIHL one had just finished and we managed to get the National League back.
Yeah.
And how was that playing back home? I'm sure, were your family back home as well? So they're to come and see you play?
Yeah. No, that was always good. Like my mum's probably my biggest fan. Like you never hear her stop shouting during a game. So it was nice to get back where she could watch more regularly. And then obviously, like I said, I knew all the boys pretty much. So it was just literally like coming home. What did
you make of seeing the new Romford Arena? Obviously, you said you played in that last year in the old one, and then seeing the new one now. Me and Charlie hate going there. We love playing you guys, but it's so intimidating. What is it about playing in Romford? Because you can see this season the home advantage for you guys has been huge.
You know what? The fans they will be behind us until the final whistle.
Yeah.
And obviously, them Voodoo Sailors are quite loud. So when they're blowing them constantly, sometimes some players can't even think. So it's definitely good. And you know what? The facility is beautiful. It's such a nice rink. Yeah, it's probably one of the nicer ones in the league, to be honest. Other than it can be roasting in there sometimes.
Yeah, TJ about
that. It can be roasting in there.
Especially in your goalie pads.
Your advantage, though.
Yeah.
I think because you guys are so used to it, it's like
I don't know about getting used to it. I'll be in the room sometimes before a game just sweating, and I'm just like, "Geez, get out of here."
Oh
man, you obviously said when I asked about this season, you've got to be playing at the top of your game. The one that sticks out is that Sheffield game. You've had some games where you've had 40, 50 shots on you, and you've managed to hold your own. What has been kind of the switch for you this season, mentality-wise, with the league just getting better and better as well?
You know, for me personally, I don't feel like I'm doing anything much different.
Yeah.
I just think where I'm that year older, I'm reading the plays a little bit better and not overthinking, not overcomplicating the game, and just letting it come to me kind of thing. Obviously, in the summer, me and Leish was having a talk, and he's like, you need to be one of our big guys this year if we want to do anything. So I think getting that as well, you're like, right, let's do it now. It's time to try and get some type of silverware back home.
Yeah, and I have a question for you. How did it make you feel when import goalies came into this league?
Yeah, I was going to ask that, but go on.
You know, it's tough, right? Because I believe there's good enough goalies out there. Like, there's goalies, say, like Will Curlin and Headley. They both don't need to be on the same team.
Yeah,
like they're both good enough to be starters on their own team. But I guess if goalies are signed up and happy where they are, and if they can't find the right piece for their team, then you're going to have to bring them in at some point.
Yeah.
But I think it's not a waste, because you can get, it is a waste. You can get a British goalie that's going to hold their own, and then it gives you an extra player out on pitch, right?
Yeah.
So that's the way I look at it. I do think it can be a waste, but if they can't find a guy to bring down, then
it's one of them, because as you said, it is probably the most important position. But there has been proof in the pudding that some of these Brit goalies can hold their own, and it's good to see the likes of yourself, Jordan McLaughlin, Jordan Marr, Rennie Marr still going representing, and Sam Gospel as well. And a lot of the Brits have been putting up pretty good numbers this year alongside those import netties, which is good to see.
Yeah, like I say, we're good enough.
Yeah.
I know that for a fact. The Brit goalies are good enough. It's just finding them to bring them in.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm still surprised that no one's tried to pick up the Bees goalie from last year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was what
I
Griffin
saw he
Priest.
got released and no one's tried to pick him up when you could just get an extra attacker out on pitch.
Yeah. Or a D man,
Yeah,
import D man as well.
yeah, like whatever your team needs, you can get a good enough goalie to back that up. So
Does it almost make you a bit more hungry to go to like prove yourself as that Brit goalie, knowing that there are import netties coming into the league now again?
yeah and no,
Yeah.
because as long as I play my game, I feel like I'll be okay. The
Yeah.
same with, I'm sure if you speak to like any of the Mar brothers, they're just gonna play their game.
Mhm.
You try not to think about it too much because then that's when your game will probably go a bit left. But yeah, as long as we're performing, we know we should be all right.
I've got to bring it up. I know it was a hard probably the one of the toughest games maybe for you, but the playoff final, you guys probably the underdogs of the whole thing, and you coming through and getting to the final. I genuinely believe if there was another 5-10 minutes, you guys probably would have pipped them. But talk
Yeah,
us through that whole experience at Coventry, playing in front of the crowd, with all the opposition fans as well.
it was awesome. Honestly, like no one expected us to make Coventry in the first place.
Yeah.
Even the way we made Coventry
Oh my
was
days, it was so
crazy. Like
intense.
I think we were down by like 3 goals with like 8 minutes left, and then it just 1, 2, 3 overtime. They had more than enough chances to win in overtime, and then
Yeah.
we get the bounce.
Yeah.
And even against Sheffield in the semis, the exact same thing. Like last second goal, boom, we're in the final. And you know what? We had a slow start.
Mm.
Like, if we didn't have that first 5 minute blip, we're probably playoff champions.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I like, especially coming to that third, we completely run that
Oh
game.
my days, yeah.
Like Gossy played unreal. Like
Oh, man.
he won them that game because some of the saves he was making
Yeah.
was outrageous.
I think it speaks levels though. We said people get bored of us saying it, but that's how good the National League is. That Peterborough won it last year. Like anyone
Yeah.
can beat everyone, and do you think that's a big reason on? Well, it's a big reason why the fans love the league how it is, and I think that's been proven this season as well with the likes of Romford, Bristol beat us yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah, it's literally what you say. Like anyone can beat anyone. If you're not on your game, you're probably going to lose.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like it is literally as simple as that. Like every team has firepower. Imports are getting better and better every
Oh my
year.
days, yeah.
Like it's you need to be ready to play every game. Otherwise, it's just a long day.
Yeah.
The,
Go on,
the,
Charlie.
question, the question I have for you as a goalie is how do you, let's say on the Saturday night you've had a bad game, it's not gone great, you made maybe 2 errors which you want to take back. On the Sunday, how do you prepare to start again, maybe against a tough team, to get yourself going again after having a rough night the night before?
I'm a believer. As soon as I go bed, you forget about that day.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Like especially if bad day, good day, you go bed, forget about that day because every day's a new day.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Go to the rink, do whatever your routines are, make yourself feel good again, and just go from there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What do you have to do any mental preparation before games, or like is there anything which you do which calms you down or gets you in the zone and stuff like that? Because it is just a completely different game for a goalkeeper because they have to be on it for the whole game.
For me, I always listen to my own music.
Yeah.
Like always have my headphones in. Um, Always go play two touch with the boys, get a little bit loose,
Yeah.
and then once we've had our team meeting, I like juggling a little bit, juggling against the wall. Then I stretch. But by this point, I'm basically by myself. No one else really comes and speaks to me.
That's good. Yeah.
And then when I'm stretching, I'll do a bit of like my eyes closed, just chilling, and then yeah, just go get ready, get on the ice.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
It's
It's good. It's cool seeing the little like people different players have different ways of preparing for the games, and I
Yeah.
think there is just so much pressure on a goalie. But have you since you're younger, you said you always wanted to be a goalkeeper when you started playing. Have you almost thrived on being that guy who takes the responsibility?
Yeah, I love it. You're either a hero or a villain, right? Like you can win the game, or everyone's gonna blame you for losing the game.
Yeah, that's
But
the
at the
reality
end
of
of
it,
the
innit?
day, at the end of the day, like I enjoy it, especially like when you win. Like everyone's like, "Oh, you're the best." Yeah, great. I would take it. I probably ain't the best because I'm not in the NHL, but I'm here. Like I enjoy it. It's
Mhm.
always fun, and you know what? You get to play a lot.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like like players have to swap and change. I'm on the ice the whole time. Get probably the best view for most things on the ice.
Yeah. Oh man, I remember just to talk about Romford, I remember I think it was MK when you sadly got knocked out of the playoffs last year, and you had MK in your own barn. And I remember speaking to TJ's dad, and I said, "Oh, MK are going to be a tough game tonight, considering you boys haven't got anything to play for." He goes, "Nah, we're Romford. We're winning tonight." I said, "Oh,
Yeah,
you sure? Well, you're winning tonight?" He went, "Yeah, there's not in a million years we lose tonight." And there's something about Romford where it's like you've got that dog in you. You have
yeah.
got that Romford, and my question was this year: are they going to lose that Romford with a new identity? But Romford just doesn't change.
No,
Yeah.
I think a lot of that helps with having the core.
Yeah.
Like the boys know what it means to play for Romford. You bring the new guys in, you tell them straight away, like we never give up.
Yeah.
And like I said, we've shown that this year.
100%.
Been down with like 10 minutes, 8 minutes left. We're coming
Swindon
back
was
in
three
game.
minutes left, and you hadn't scored yet.
Yeah, like yeah, like, that's what I mean. Like we just know that never call it a day until the whistle's done. Just keep going. If you got to throw everything at the net, let's do it.
Mm.
And it's been paying off, and we just got to keep it going.
How have you found the progression of the national? Because you've been in this, you've been playing since the first season back of the national, and you've seen it progress. We've got 3 imports now. How have you made the progression of the national? Because we've always said on the podcast that the attackers and the forwards seem to keep going up, and then the D men are kind of staying at the same level. But it's really good that we are seeing some import D come in as well.
You know what? So probably from my first year, every team has improved. Like whereas the
Yeah,
first year you had your top teams, you had
yeah, that's a good point.
everyone else, right? Whereas now, like there is a don't get me wrong, your top teams are still your top teams,
Yeah.
but there's more of a playing field.
Mhm.
And like I say, on your day, anyone can beat anyone. I like say for RD, I feel they're getting better as they get
Oh yeah,
older.
yeah.
Like whereas the first year we used to get probably like 50, 60 shots almost a game. Like Peter, I used to speak to Michael Gray all the time, and he used to be like, "Mate, it is tiring out there. Like when you're playing the likes of Hull with their firepower."
Yeah.
And it was like, yeah, I hear you, mate. It is tiring, and I'm only 21. Like,
Oh, he was a
but
good guy, wasn't he? He was a good
Yeah.
guy.
like, he was a great guy, and like when I first come in, he was great to me. He always spoke to me. But I remember East went winner stays in pretty much, and I went on a hot streak, and he didn't get angry at me. Like he was getting angry that he weren't playing, but he was always there supporting me. So even till now, he still message me and be like, "Great game today,"
Mm.
and he's a great guy.
Yeah.
Beard is a great guy.
You talk about the pressure and the load when you do have 40, 50 shots on you, what is the kind of physical mental load which comes onto you? Because it will be different for a forward who's checking, who's doing this, but for you it's different. You're always on your knees, you're skating about, you're having to move, you do the splits, we see you do the splits. So what is the kind of physical or mental load which gets put on you as a goalkeeper?
Uh, I'm quite a weird one, to be honest. I enjoy the more shots I get because I feel like I'm just
Okay.
in the game a lot more.
Yeah.
Um, my body's always used to playing on them kind of teams anyway, just getting shots.
Yeah.
I think it helps now. We have good treatment around us, and we get the right recovery in. So that's definitely important. And I've got these like compression boots now. I pretty much have them on every day, so my legs are always feeling fresh.
Nice, yeah.
So yeah, it is quite good.
Do you think sorry, Charles, do you think it is quite important to have like you mentioned Gray, do you think it's important to have that backup goalie to give you a bit of time off as well? Because we spoke to Jordan McLaughlin and he almost saw Dima coming in as he was playing every game last season, but he's getting that bit of rest. Do you think it is so important to still have that rest as well as a goalie?
Definitely. Like it gives you that little switch off. Like you see in the NHL, most starters
Yeah,
barely play 40 games a year,
yeah,
right? Like the more you play, you're more than likely to get injured at some
mm,
point. No matter what recovery you do, what team you have around you to help support your recovery, like you will get injured at some point.
yeah,
So it is nice to every now and then just get a little night off. But I'm also a guy, I love playing. So if I get told I'm going 15 games in a row, I'm going to go 15 games in a
yeah,
row. Like,
Yeah.
unless my body tells me I can't.
yeah.
I see behind you, you've got Dominic Hask. Is that your favorite goalie in the
Yeah,
NHL of all time?
Oh,
yeah.
Is that the
Dominic
guy you
Hasek's
speak
my
a
guy.
lot?
Yeah, he was my guy. He's part of the reason why I support Red Wings. Like once I started watching the NHL, he was with the Red Wings,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, he was awesome. Made a save however he could. Didn't matter if it looked good, looked bad. He was making a save. Like
Mm-hmm.
huge reason why I wear 39.
Yeah,
really?
I noticed
Oh,
Yeah,
that.
okay.
I saw it in the top left. I was like, it makes sense now.
yeah.
Have you got any goalies in the NHL? You kind of, I know it's easy to say, but UC Saros is the shortest goalie in the NHL, I think, and he
Yeah.
kind of like he's one of the top ones. It doesn't matter with his height. It's
No.
like we were talking about him yesterday. So have you got any goalies in the NHL you like to watch?
Do you know what? I enjoy pretty much all of them, but like Jake Ottinger, absolute
Oh,
monster.
they're going to win a Stanley Cup at some point. They're going
At
to.
some point, he's an absolute monster. You got like Shesterkin, he's a joke, especially like when he's playing his game. Rangers are a team to go
Yeah.
all the way.
His puck handling as well, Shesterkin is
Uh, Unbelievable.
he's like the best with the puck. He's
Yeah,
so good.
honestly, unbelievable. I don't know. Like when I was a kid, obviously I loved Hasek, and then probably like 2012 time when LA started doing really well. Quick was a joke. And then, like watching how he played, I see myself a little bit like that, like going into the splits, being explosive here and there. So
Yeah.
I say I always love watching Quick. Like he
Quick
always
and
does something
Shesterkin now.
crazy in the net.
That's an iconic duo, Quick and Shesterkin.
Yeah, they played together last year. Who's some of the players then who are the toughest to play against in the national then from a goalie's point of view? Because you've been playing in it
Toughest
for
to play
5 years
against.
now, so
You know, someone like Glennie or yeah, like something with Glennie. Like he'll go down the wing 1 minute he's passing, next minute he's gonna go short side shelf.
yeah,
Like players like him, you just can't read.
yeah.
Um, even like the likes of like the speed of like Harry. Uh, who else is there? Like obviously Brownie. Like that guy scores for fun.
It's a
Like
joke, isn't it?
yeah, he
You
literally
can't
just
even
scores for
prepare
fun.
for him because he can
But
snipe
like
it anywhere.
that's what I mean. So it's imports are imports. Like you always focus on your imports, but my thing is looking at who their top Brits are because you know
Yeah,
what imports are going to bring.
yeah.
And I just try to look at every team's top Brits, and I'm like, right, he likes to do this or he does that, and then just try and prepare that way.
There's a lot of video for the forwards, for example, or for the D men. But do you get a lot of video as a goalie to try and see the different kind of play styles some of the teams implement on power plays or something, or just individual players they're shooting and stuff like that?
Yeah, so we will go over video every week,
Yeah.
and then when it's PP, obviously we watch it as a team. But
Mm.
then after, I would normally ask, let me, what do they look for? What is their main thing?
Yeah.
And then just so I know what to be looking out for. Obviously, teams will change on the fly
Yeah.
as it
Yeah.
is, but more time than not, they are looking for a set play. Like I know, like MK love going down and then hitting the high guy in the slot.
Yeah.
That is their most favorite thing to do.
Because that's the easiest, not easiest, but the more likely chance you're going to score in the slot.
Exactly, and you know they do it perfect,
Oh,
near enough every
especially on
time.
their big
Like,
pad.
Play the
Like,
umbrella on their power players.
yeah,
Was pointing out to me the other day. They play that free high, and then they ping it around, and then sometimes drop D, and it's always
move down and yeah,
Lawrence has got that release where he doesn't even have to wind up. He can
no,
just.
just flick
and
it
it
He
in.
reminds
zips.
me of Aaron now with his shot. They've
Yeah,
kind of got that release where, as a goalie, it's probably difficult to predict because
yeah,
they
it
don't.
just comes straight off.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
don't like you see with I remember Gale, he always used to kind of wind up. You'd know when
Yeah,
Gale was going to shoot. It was a bit harder and a bit tougher, but now and Lawrence kind of have that shot where it's just like ding.
Snapshot,
yeah,
yeah.
just straight off, and it's going top corner or bar down, and you're like, oh, come on, we're expecting the shot.
What is it about penalty shots? I've noticed, well, against Swindon, you've certainly been the hero of some penalty shootouts. But what is it about penalty shots for you? Which would you see that as kind of one of the big strengths?
Um, I don't know because penalty shots are always a hit and miss.
Yeah, they are a lottery
Like,
sometimes.
yeah, they are always a hit and miss. I enjoy penalty shots
Yeah,
because it's a one-on-one. Like let's see who's gonna come out on top, right?
yeah,
Like I say, guys, normally you can tell who likes to do what. So like on the weekend, Luca wants to be a shooter.
yeah.
So I just held my ground
I
and
saw that.
forced
Yeah,
him to
yeah, yeah.
try and make a deke because I don't think I've ever seen him deke in my life.
He
Mm.
did deke,
Because
didn't he? Did he
yeah,
attempt to deke? Yeah.
yeah, he tried to deke and it didn't go in.
Yeah,
Whereas normally he would
you
shoot and
just
it's
rip it.
probably in the back of the net.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
surprised me because I was thinking when I watched that Luca penalty, every
Yeah,
time I've seen him take a penalty shot,
he shoots.
always shoot first. Bit like Svek, he doesn't really
Yeah,
deke, just shoots
no,
because they got a good shot.
yeah,
Whereas you made Luca deke.
yeah. Like so as soon as I saw it was Luca taking, I was like, I'm just gonna hold my ground
yeah,
and try and force him into something that he's probably not as comfortable doing.
yeah.
Thankfully, it paid off.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that game would have been a lot closer.
Yeah.
It must be horrible. Like Harewood, I don't know if you saw Harewood's at the weekend, but he's probably got some of the best hands in the league. But it must be horrible
Yeah,
playing against some of those guys who can just flick it straight past you in a millisecond.
yeah. Like some guys' hands are ridiculous. Like even like Harry Gulliver's penalty
Oh,
shot against Bristol the other week. Like there's
Flipping
no need for that.
That's a
give,
goalie.
give us a little chance, right? But no, honestly, some guys' hands are ridiculous. So that on them guys, you just literally got to be more patient. Just
yeah,
don't bite. As soon as you bite, it's more than likely a goal.
yeah.
Even if you bite the right way, they're going to go the other way, and you're just you're in no man's land half the
You should
time.
be grateful you're not saving a Kuznetsov penalty.
Oh,
It's like the
mate.
most painful thing for a goalie. It must be.
They're just there waiting. Oh, no, it's gone in.
It's
What are
same
you meant
thing
to
every
Cheers
do?
for
time.
Like,
coming.
oh man, I just want to fly and poach it, but
Yeah, that's what you got to try. But then again, he's got them quick hands that he'll probably just go around you.
Yeah.
oh man.
We'll look into the rest of this season then. Obviously, the level goes up every season, but I think you've stepped up your level as well from this season. So well done. And it's still, as you said, we're only 12 games in, and
It
it
feels
feels
like
like
it's
it's
so
been going on
many
for
more.
ages already.
Yeah.
What's kind of the targets for you for this season? I'm sure you guys are looking to try and make that top four of the cup and push for the playoffs as well.
I think as a team, we want to win something.
Yeah,
It doesn't matter if it's league, if it's cup, playoffs, we want to win something. So staying around that top pack,
yeah,
just keeping around that and seeing where it takes us.
yeah.
Mhm.
Like, hopefully making another Coventry appearance again. That would be great.
Because we've spoke to so many players and it is like they say it all the time, but you do just have to take it game by game, see how
Yeah,
things go. You can't get too ahead of yourself, otherwise that could come crashing
that will
down on
ruin
you.
you. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
tough.
definitely.
And this league's unpredictable. Like last year, you obviously you had such a good squad, but the imports just couldn't stick until the end of
Yeah,
the year. And then obviously our playoff group was like flipping. They were all Goliaths in that group. It was insane. It was one of the most stat playoff groups I've ever seen. But yeah, it's just so difficult to kind of predict in this league because every day there's like an import decides to go home or an injury obviously happens, and it's not like the NHL where you can just call up your AHL players.
yeah,
We've got
exactly.
some good two ways this year, to be fair.
Oh yeah, we got some real good two ways.
Oh,
Like the Moore brothers are an absolute joke.
oh my days.
Like they are a joke. Like if we could get them full time, we would happily have them.
Yeah,
Like
They,
they are two
oh my,
great
that
players.
release from Seb.
Oh, hello.
thing is, right, coming into this season, you actually do have quite a lot of depth. Like we were looking at a lot of the teams, and it's great that you've managed to get Zach in very quickly to get that import slot to cover. But looking at the team, me and Charlie always say you guys probably one of, if not the best forecheck-in, pressing team, quickest team to get on you. And I think I think you've got your top six established, and then your bottom six almost know their roles, but they've actually been scoring a hell of a lot more as well.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said it earlier, like everyone's been chipping in,
Yeah,
and for us to be successful, we have to be fast. We got to jump on teams quick.
yeah.
And I guess that is the Romford way, right? Don't
It
give
is.
guys times, be up in their face, don't let them
Romford
play
forecheck.
their game. Yeah.
I've said you've got the best forecheck in the league for me. I said that to Jack, especially at home. There's no team which forechecks like Romford at home. It's
What is
Yeah.
it when you get one goal, you always just get two at the same time? Like for some, like I've seen it so many times. We look at the times of the goals, and it will be like 30 seconds or just less than a minute after you've scored them. Momentum so big for Romford, I feel this season.
Yeah, like when we get one, we can score in a bunch. Like
Yeah,
it's we just thrive off it. Everyone gets really up, and we just go, go, go. But it's also finding that plateau of just play. Like
yeah,
a lot of teams once they let in a goal, they're all in their own head. So go again. Like
yeah.
don't let them think, oh no, we got time to get. No, just go, get the pucks in deep. Like we just said, like the forecheck gets going, we get another goal. Like,
The Vuvuzelas will stop them bloody thinking as well with the amount of noise that's going on with them.
can't do a timeout in Romford.
oh really?
Timeouts are pointless.
You just got to draw and hope everyone understands what you're drawing on the board. Like, it does get loud. Like obviously they're not even over our bench.
Yeah,
Benches aren't that far apart. We can barely hear ourselves over there.
yeah.
But it gets loud.
Yeah, and finally, before we kind of finish up, your new owners, one of them, what's his name? I'm really bad with names.
You
Paul,
keep forgetting his name, don't you?
I believe it's Paul. There's an owner called Paul, right?
Yeah, Paul Davis.
Yeah, Paul
That's
Davis.
it. Yeah.
He was really nice to us. He messaged us about the podcast and stuff. But it seems like Romford have got a really good, close knit group of owners. How's it been under the new ownership? Has there been some changes?
You know what?
Quite professional now.
Yeah, they've honestly been great. Like when guys need anything, we're getting it all sorted. We're getting nice buses now, and we've been showing up to games on time, which is always great. Like so, as long as we're showing up and doing what we need to do, they're gonna try and provide us with everything that we need to be successful.
Yeah.
So it's been a great changeover.
Perfect.
Yeah. Just quickly before you wrap up, Charlie, with your final question. You mentioned them earlier, but how about those two imports you've brought in, Miller and Schufelt? Me and Charlie knew Leish would be able to pull something out the bag with imports, obviously him being Canadian, but flipping heck, Shaw Miller's establishing himself and Schufelt as well as some of the top imports in this league.
Yeah, their hockey brains are great. They're great to be around for the boys because they can help them out here, there, and everywhere. And then obviously Miller's shot is ridiculous, and his vision on the ice is crazy. And then you got Shuey's speed, which is like he's so quick. Like there'll be times in practice where we done like a 2-on-1. He'll take 2 strides, and the D man still at the blue line. I'm like, oh, lovely, nice 1-on-1. Cheers, boys. Yeah, they're both great guys, which is what the main thing is. Like, if they're not great, they're not going to fit in the room, but they literally fitted in perfectly. And they're all about being a Romford dog, so it works.
And the D is, I think the D, as you said, the D's got older. They've almost stepped up a level as well. I'm seeing, I think Jack Cooper's stepped up a level, obviously having that captaincy role. I think Pascal's been stepped up a lot since I first saw him in Coventry to this season. You can just see the maturity a bit more on the D-men, and Tyler as well. Since he was last in the National League, you can see his improvement.
Yeah, like we always said, we've not got a big roster, so everyone's going to get their time to step up. And like I've said, everyone had to step up this year if we want to be doing well, and everyone has been stepping up. Like Coops every year gets better. Dewey's always going to be a good, solid D-man. Ralphie's probably our guy that we look to for everything, and he carries a lot of weight on his shoulders, but he honestly does a great job.
Yeah.
So, and then you got like Sean Barry, who's the older head, who's got the experience, knows how to just play calm. We do have a great team, to be honest.
Yeah. Charlie, you wrap it up then with the final question.
It's been a good interview, and yeah, the hair is shining, I must say.
Will you ever cut it? Will you ever cut it?
So I cut it at the end of every season, just not
Okay.
all the way off. Because
Yeah.
I done that when I was younger. I was not a fan of. I've got a tiny head, so it don't look good.
Does it not? Does it not like not hurt? But does it not like cause you any annoyance in when you have to push it into the helmet, or is it just?
No, just the way I put the helmet on, like the top just slips back and then it just all goes on.
That's so cool.
I think
Go on,
my
Charlie.
mum got a photo of you in Coventry. When
Yeah,
you
yeah.
did it.
I remember
And
Mum
she was
wanted a
like, I need
photo
a photo
of
with the hair man. I was like,
That was when I had the gold and blue hair going as well.
Yeah, it
oh,
was.
man. Yeah, I think everyone's like, he's the goalie's got an afro. Goalie's got an afro. But yeah, it's been a blast. What is your message to the Romford fans?
Stick with us. We've got a long ride to go, and I'm telling you, you're going to be in for a good one.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're there on Friday actually. We're going down
Nice.
to watch you guys against Milton Keynes. So
Me and Dan are
if we
driving
see you, we'll make sure to say hello.
Yeah, definitely.
Nice one. Thanks,
Right.
mate.
Cheers for that, boys.
Hello and welcome back. Thanks, Ethan, for hopping on. We appreciate you coming on, and it was a nice little chat after recording as well. Really nice guy, really, really down to earth guy as well. And yeah, we appreciate you hopping on the
Good
podcast. And we start the weekend off on the Saturday, and there's quite late games actually. But the first game was the Berkshire Bees against the Hull Seahawks.
Okay.
And Balaz did return to the team. We don't know how fit he was, whether he was fully fit or he's still holding a little knock. But the Hull Seahawks, they were missing Cornell, but that didn't really matter, did it, Dan? They dispatched the Bees 4-1 in the end. Sobchak getting another 3 points. Chamberlain getting 3 points. The difference from last season, where they did lose to the Bees, you can see the improvement to this season.
Yeah, I mean, they've got so much firepower in that team. Sort of, even though they didn't have Cornell, they've still got those big boys, and they're still turning up. Obviously, they're expected at every game, and when they've got a guy out like that, they're obviously expected even more. And they're another team that they love having the ego, and they love showing what they can do and showing off their skills. And they have those gritty goals and the really nice goals as well. So yeah, they're really solid throughout the whole team. Got really strong D as well. But yeah, it's just a good road game for them.
Yeah, it's pretty tough one for the Bees, Charlie. Back-to-back home losses. They have had some good wins at home this season, but it's never easy against Hull. And as Dan said, you have seen the improvement. And when you've got Sobchak playing the way he is, yeah, he just seems to be unstoppable at the moment.
Yeah, I think bees will shock people in that ring, but not every week.
Yeah.
And the difficult thing for bees is you come across a team like Hull, and it doesn't really matter where they go, they score everywhere. I didn't quite realize Sobchak is only a couple points away from being 3 points a game at the moment, which is one of the most gross things I've ever seen. I didn't think he'd be able to keep up his points tally from like the little spell he had with Hull last year, and he's gone and increased it. And so yeah, it's a difficult game for bees, but they're not the games they have to win. Bees did this last year. They sneak some games at home, but they beat I think they beat Swindon there. No, they beat MK there once, but I don't think they beat Bees there. So they don't always have to win against the top teams at home. The important games for Bees are the teams in the same area as Bees in their rink. So yeah, it's a frustrating weekend for Bees, but not one when they need to kick themselves over. They'll win in that rink. I'm sure Ballas will be back to scoring about 3 goals a game soon.
Yeah, I think they're a bit short this weekend as well with numbers, so they'll be hoping a few of the boys can get back, and so the load's not going too heavy on the top guys. The next game, the Milton Keynes Lightning against the Swindon Wildcats, and I'm sure we're going to talk a bit about this game because there's a lot to unpack. And first of all, it was an unbelievable game. We always give Milton Keynes a good game, I think, now at their place, and they always give us a pretty good game at our place as well. And it didn't disappoint. You could see the levels of the teams, the line matching, just how tactical it was. The defensive battles, I think, was key, and both defenses really stepped up. The Swindon Wildcats took the lead, and I'm going to start with this, Dan. Ryan Wells is Oh, he's just unbelievable, isn't he? He just every single week he seems to be showing us even more and even more. And we've said it, he is comfortably the best defenseman in this league. And we've raved about how good defensively he's been, and how good of a defensive D man, how clever he is, his skating, his stick to puck work, like. But offensively on the big ice, we really saw how good he can be offensively as well. And that goal, I've watched it back. MK put their highlights. That is just pure filth, isn't it? Yeah, not many D men can do that.
No, it's a disgusting goal, and you're seeing it every week now. He's getting more confident, and sort of he's taking more risks and jumping up on the play a bit more. And you can really see why he's such a high point scoring D man in the other leagues he's been in. But I think it's so big, and obviously having a guy like that on the big ice like MK, and obviously when Swindon go to Sheffield as well, having a D man like that can jump the play and obviously play the puck like that is going to be really really effective. And it's the fact that he jumps the play, but he's really clever at how he does it,
Yeah.
and he knows what he's doing. Like he's not just dumping it in, or he's doing it with meaning, and he knows exactly what he's doing. He knows he's going to get into the zone of it. So yeah, he's just a really clever player and a top class D man in this league.
Yeah, he picks the right opportunities. He's smart. He knows where the space is. He knows what's going to get him into the zone. And on that big ice pad, he hasn't. We haven't. You mentioned actually last week we haven't played in a rink where it's a big ice pad like a Sheffield or a Milton Keynes or a Hull. And yeah, his attacking come into play on Saturday. Charlie,
I will
um,
say
go
something
on.
on Wells. He's set a whole new standard of D in this league, and there is nobody who comes close to him. I say it honestly, genuinely. I think he's just unbelievable. I think MK fans will agree. I'd love to know.
Oh, MK
Like,
fans are raving
like,
about it. They were saying you're very, very good.
now said in the interview afterwards, and I thought he put it perfectly. And it was a great game, by the way. It was a really good game of hockey. Both teams were missing key pieces. We had a couple players coming back from injuries. They obviously missing Venus Sisters. We missing now. But now said Wales was the best player on the ice for both teams, and he was so good, man. But yeah, I thought again their import D man, he was
Spadafor.
very good as well. That it sounded from MK fans like that was the best game Spadafor's played for them, and it showed. They were the best two players on the ice. Spadafor was Milton Keynes' best player, and Wells was Swindon's best player. Both import D man really turned up for their teams. I think he drew 4 penalties, which is really good. He didn't give away one that game, or maybe gave away one only.
Yeah.
It was a bit different the next night for him, but he was phenomenal that game, and I don't think MK win that game without him.
You saw the different types of D men because Wells, they're completely different, aren't they, Dan? Wells isn't this physical big hitter. He's going to follow through on every check. He's a very smart defenseman, and he's very good. I think they're both very good at playing the puck. They're both very, very good playing the puck defensemen. But Spadafor, the game kind of suited him. MK, physical wise, pushed us out of some game. Like the shots, well, I was going to mention it. I was going to bring it up. The shots this season, we're seeing games with each team having at least 30 shots, some teams having 50 shots. The shots on Saturday, 27 to 22. I think that just shows the level of defenses on each team.
Yeah, 100%. Obviously he was keeping every player out wide.
Yeah.
If you can keep a player out wide, they're going to find it tough to get a puck to the net. You also have like players like Griffin as well that like to play the physical game, Salisbury as well. So yeah, I think especially in that rink, I think that physical sort of type of defense can really help MK. And I think we said it before the season started. We said about Spadafor, obviously he's very, very physical. And we said this could be the type of guy that MK do need, this to be that sort of shutdown D. And I know we've watched him against Bristol, and he obviously didn't have his best game, gave away a few silly penalties and stuff like that. But when he's on it and he's playing his perfect game, I think he's really, really effective for the MK team.
I'll tell you where he's most effective. I think it's when it is a tight game against a solid team. When it's when you're dominating a team in the zone. I'm not saying he's bad. He's very good at picking out a pass, but he thrives the most when it's the final 5 minutes of the game and you're trying to kill off the game and he'll in that gross area around the goalie, he's going to push you around, he's going to shove you, he's going to get in your face, he's going to whack the puck away. That's I think where he thrives the most, and that's in those moments. That is where MK can sometimes choke it, you'd say. But on Saturday, I think it really helped them just to get it done, get the job done.
Yeah, and when the refs aren't calling loads of penalties,
Yeah.
like in a game where the ref put their hand up every 5 minutes, and there are them games, I think I can imagine Spadafor getting called for quite a lot because he played some big hits against Swindon, and I wouldn't give them as penalties.
No.
I said that, but I know there are games where they do get given as boardings or interferences, and he does like to tap people on the legs, and he likes to play that physical game. And I can imagine some games it will go his way and he won't get penalties, but other games, I think in the Sheffield game he got like four. And I can imagine he played a very similar game in both, but in one game he gets called loads, and in the other game he doesn't. Um, but yeah, I think Malik had quite a good game on that game as well. I think they're one of them parents where they'll either click and work really really well, or they'll have a pretty rough game and it won't go well. But against Swindon, I thought their defense was the best I've seen it for Milton Keynes, and Headley made some big saves at times as well.
I think it just shown the improvements from last season defensively for both teams. They didn't just blow each other out and scoring loads of goals. They just shut each other down. I think the shots on goal, that's got to be up there probably with the lowest in a singular game this NIHL season. I was so shocked when I saw it, but then actually when I thought about it, there wasn't many big chances, and I think both teams were clinical. Rutgers' goal, top shelf. Jake Britnell's goal, top shelf. Ryan Wells was a bit of class. Max Stewart's was a rebound. Rennie might want that third one back, but he was screened so heavily. So it was a game of fine margins, and MK just got it over the line. And after the game, I actually think MK fans responded quite well because they said it was such a good game. It was so tense. It come out after, and tempers flared a bit down, but I think that's just how much passion was within the game. And when that happens, you forget about this flipping fighting in the last 5 minutes gets you a ban, and that's exactly what happened with Plusey and
Salisbury's had it
Salisbury.
twice now. That's
What's
his
that?
second time. That's Salisbury's second time getting a ban.
I
So
know. The thing is, in the moment after it, you go, "Oh, why did they do that?" And
I
I'm
bet
sure
he
the
went into
players
the
are like,
dressing room and he went, I hate this rule. I absolutely hate this rule. He's like, I've had enough of this stupid rule.
"I know," but it's a rule they've implemented, and yeah, it's just one of those
I
things.
don't
Isn't
like
it?
the rule. In a game like that, they should be able to fight.
Yeah, no, I think you could feel it coming. You could feel the tension building. Obviously, a lot happened in that last 2 minutes of the game. A lot happened at once, and
Yeah.
obviously you had that big call for Griffin. Obviously, getting the 5+ game, that was a big call. And then you obviously had like a real big turn of events with the power play, and then it sort of going to a 4-on-4, and then it went to a power play again. And
Yeah.
obviously Swindon put in the goalie as well, and yeah, you could just feel it, and obviously the fans are really getting into it as well. It was a really good
Oh, mate.
turnout from both crowds.
That last probably minute of the game was probably the loudest I've heard it, maybe on par with when they beat us in the semi-finals in overtime. But the thing is, right, what started it all off, because it's so loud, you can't hear anything. Ed Bradley, they can't see the scoreboard for how long's left. So Ed Bradley just flicks the puck on net as the buzzer's just gone. And then Spadafor, as he does, comes and pushes him, and then it just flipping falls over from there, and all the tense and the passion just comes out. But that's just speaks levels on how good of a game it was, and I had no complaints from. I think everyone gave it 110% from both teams, and MK just showed they could just get it over the line in the end, and they got the win, and fair play to them. I would have loved to take a point from it because it was a cup game as well, but I can't fault any of the players during that game. Yeah, we've spoken a lot about that. Let's move on to the Solway Sharks, and they got back-to-back home wins. A big 7-4 win against the Romford Raiders. And Charlie, Solway seem to be able to score a lot on their home ice, don't they? That's back-to-back weekends scoring 7 goals, 14 goals in 2 games at home. And it's different goal scorers as well. Obviously, Gardiner got 2. And we know what he's like. He's maintaining his 2-goal pace again now. But yeah, 5 different scorers, which is good if you're a Solway from a Solway's perspective.
Yeah, I haven't listened to the podcast you did, but I can imagine one thing you've said this season is that home advantage is pretty big.
Yeah,
I
we've
can
said,
imagine
yeah,
that was said on the last two podcasts.
probably on
Um,
everyone. Yeah,
and it is the smaller teams. I don't like saying smaller, but they are on the kind of league statistics. The teams which are fighting for that playoff spot, they seem to be winning more home games than they did last year. And home advantage is massive, and Solway seem to be making that place a fortress, which is great considering we're playing there twice next week. But yeah, they're doing really well at home, and there was the question mark, obviously, when they lost Craig Peacock and kind of didn't really replace him. Where are the goals going to come from? And we said at the start of the season, some players have got to step up. You've got to get some depth scoring. The third line's got to chip in. Alderson hopefully can keep fit, and I think he's been getting on the
oh,
point.
he's been really good. He got 3 points on that Saturday.
Yeah, and he's got some really good dance moves as well. Ali Robertson, he's chipping in, and so yeah, they're getting the goals which they needed to replace what's his name, Craig Peacock, and yeah, Gardenia. Look at his stats, man. I think the guy's on like 17 goals in like
No, he's got more goals than that. He's casually on 18 goals, 10 assists at the moment.
it's disgusting, man. 18 goals in how many games? 13.
10 game. Oh, it's different for every team. Let me check. So he's got 18 goals in 13 games.
Like 14 on, man. Like the National League is just such a goal heavy league. Like there is so many goals flying in every game. Like every single game is like 4 goals from each team. Like even when you win, you've normally let them free. It's like it's a crazy league where goals are flying in, and like yeah, Solway are just winning at home, and that's important. And if they can continue to do that, they're going to be in a good spot when it comes to the end of the year to make playoffs.
Yeah, 3 power play goals as well. So Swindon can't put Solway on the power play on Saturday. So yeah, a big win for Solway because they were on a 4 game losing streak before they picked up their 2 home wins. So it's from their perspective that's good to get back on winning ways. And Romford, just one of them games in it. We'll speak about their game on Sunday because it was a big bounce back. But Yokoyama, he got a goal in his first game, so that must have felt nice as well. He actually got a Dan, you mentioned he got a Goalie Howe hat trick, didn't he? He got a goal and assist. They did a little scrap as well against Robertson.
That's literally a perfect Yokoyama game by the sounds of it.
That
He
sums
loves
him
it
up
all,
in a
and
nutshell, doesn't it?
yeah, literally. And I mean, talk about making a name for yourself in your first game. I mean, that's literally what he wanted, and yeah, it carried on throughout the weekend as well, which we're going to talk about.
Yeah. The next game, the Bristol Pitbulls, a 4-3 shootout win. Third time is the charm. They've lost 2 shootouts to Peterborough and MK, and then the third one they finally do it against Telford. We'll talk about the shootout in a second, but firstly, wow, the improvement from the Pitbulls has been massive, and I'm sure we'll talk about more on the Sunday game as well. But they obviously got that win last weekend, Dan, against the Bees, which was a big win. And they went 3-1 up. Telford did get back to 3-3, but they just keep sticking in there, Charlie, don't they? They got it to the shootout, and this time it went their way. And I've got to say, I did predict this before the season, but it's a different kind of feeling around Bristol at the moment. They've got Barry's kind of recruited kind of the right players, and they're all kind of buying into it. And when all the players are buying into it, and you haven't really got any bad apples in the team, we're now seeing the results from it.
Yeah, Bristol got a bit of dog in them.
Yeah.
They're not giving up when they go down. Did they go down in that Telford game? I don't know.
No, they didn't. They were always ahead, but Telford equalised it 3-3. But they could have lost their heads at 3-3.
We'll see it the next night.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've got that fight about them. I'll say from what I watched in our game a little bit, it's just they don't give up. They seem to be playing hard, and it's just confidence. When you get a win, your head goes up the next game. And then when the puck goes in the back of the net and you take the lead, you start to feel, oh man, we're a good hockey team. We can win games. We can take these boys on. And it's proven it. And obviously the last time they played Telford, it didn't go very well. And then the next time they played Telford at home, they got their first home win of the season.
Yeah.
I think that was their first home win of the year as well.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Sure. And they had some unbelievable jerseys, by the way.
Yeah, that
I
they're
hate
up there.
Halloween. I hate Halloween, right? I strongly hate Halloween. I will say it. They're the worst week of the season. But uh they were good jerseys. They were good
Yeah,
jerseys.
if you don't know, they had the Beetlejuice theme, and because that's black and white, all the players wore black and white, and the referees got their own custom red and
Yeah.
green jerseys. I don't think we've seen that in hockey. They might have done it in another country, maybe, but I don't think we've
They
seen
did
that in
it in
hockey.
Glasgow.
And oh, did they?
Yeah,
Oh my, that's Scotland actually, so that is another country. But it's such a good idea. I love the unique jerseys. And I think the wackier the better, in my opinion. It's a bit of a laugh, isn't it? And it doesn't really matter as long as you get the win in them, Dan. And they got the win in them. And I just want to shout out two players because you've got your Harewoods you can talk about. You've got your Nick Prices who's really stepped up, and I'm sure you're going to talk about him from Sunday, Charlie. But a big shout out to Ewan Hill and Cameron Hamill, both getting 2 points on Saturday. They've really stepped it up, haven't they? And obviously they didn't. Well, Ewan Hill's never played in the national. He played a few games for Romford, but this was their opportunities, and they're getting given top 6 minutes, Dan, and they are getting points, and they're proving they're really fighting for their positions, aren't they? And I think like we said on the bees with some players fighting for their positions with Josh Paul, I think Ewan Hill and Cam Hamill, when given the opportunities, they're showing that they can be some good solid National League players.
Yeah, I've mentioned it quite a bit with Hamill, definitely. Yeah, I think obviously he played in MK last year and he sort of struggled to get into that team. It's tough for any player. Like it's tough for anyone to get into that team because it is so depthy. So I think yeah, getting that move to Bristol for him was really, really smart. Obviously, they aren't as depthy as MK, which is obvious, but he's come into that team and he will have gained stuff from MK. He would have learned stuff from that team, and obviously training with them and the players that are around him. He would have been able to improve his game, but he was never able to show it.
Yeah.
And now he's come to Bristol. He's been given this opportunity, and he's taken it by both hands, and he's really shown what he can do. And I think he suits Bristol really, really well. He's a young player who just throws his body around, throws his weight around, not afraid to drop the gloves, gets the fans fired up. I'm sure he's great in the dressing room as well, which is really key for Bristol. And yeah, I think yeah, both of those guys have really taken their opportunities well. And I mean, they're just going to keep growing and growing throughout the season, and their game will just keep improving with all these opportunities they're getting in these games.
They're quick as well, and Bristol, we know that Bristol sometimes you just have to hang in games and they're going to catch people on the rush. And I think they do that really well. And we saw Cameron Hamill's goal against Milton Keynes a couple of weeks ago. That was off the rush with Harewood, and Harewood made a nice pass to him and they tapped it in. So I think he really suits the style of play Bristol have got and what Barry McKenzie's implemented. The shootout then, Dan, we said a couple of weeks ago, we said, how is Nick Price and Bailey Harewood not taking a penalty shot? Now, Nick Price did take one. He did miss his penalty shot, but Bailey Harewood, oh my goodness, just his hands are absolutely ridiculous. The skill set of him, he's the most skillful player in the league for me with hands. He will wait for the goalie literally to the last second to make a move. He'll drag it the other way, put it in the empty cage, Dan. And you've seen the video of the winning shootout goal. It's just he's so hard to stop, isn't he?
Yeah, he's disgusting. He's an unreal player, and like you say, his hands are unreal, like unmatched as well. I'd agree with you with that. But it's just the way, like it looked like the most easy penalty shot ever. He literally Dave was out the goal and he just tapped it in. I'm sure it's not that easy, but yeah, he's just an unreal player. And for that Bristol team, he's obviously a fan favorite. He's going to be, but just having a guy like that that can really take the game by the scruff and just really take the puck and just go at guys and beat them is so big for Bristol. And when they need a guy like that to step up, he will be that guy. And yeah,
I
having
think
having a guy having a guy like that on any team is important, but especially for that Bristol team as well.
when you're seeing positive results, you're just seeing even better Bailey Harewoods and Nick Prices as well. They've really stepped up. And I think, Charlie, this is the main point we said. They actually kind of had a false start in terms of their first like 3 weeks were against Hull, Leeds, and MK. Like that's probably the three hardest teams you can up against for them because they actually have really good games against Swindon, and it was kind of a false with them being a new team. It was about what they do against some of the mid pack teams and the teams they're going to be fighting for against playoffs. And it sounds like they've been given no. Well, that's proof in the pudding. They've been getting results out of those games now.
Yeah, it was. We said at the start of the year that they're probably going to get beat in the first part of the season. They did get that win against Sheffield, which was big.
Yeah.
But it was kind of about like, can the team still stick together and not go off in a tantrum after them results? And they did, and now the results are coming, and they're in a playoff spot.
Yeah, fair play to them. The final game on the Saturday. Wow. This is Leeds Knights at their best, isn't it? And Sam Gospel at his best. 7-0 at home against Sheffield. Now, the stats will tell you that it wasn't as clean sailing as it appears. Sam Gospel had a 35-shot shutout, and he's just starting to heat up, isn't he, Charlie? I know we talked about it earlier. We could see Sam Gospel hot streak from now on. He had a bit of a tough start, didn't he? I think he'd probably admit it himself. It was a tough start, but a lot of improvements in teams, and he is slowly creeping up that save percentage. And yeah, that was just prime Sam Gospel, wasn't it, on Saturday? One of the saves, by the way. Oh my goodness! I don't know if you've seen it on Leeds.
I saw it.
Pretty much an empty net, and he somehow gets his glove on it. Go on, Charlie.
Gospel's sick, man. He's the best goalie in this league still. I said when he had the bad start, I said, "Oh, I was like, is this Gospel?" I was like, "What's going on here?" Like, but he is human, and now he's locked back in, and yeah, I think Leeds will go on a win streak. I've said it before. I said it the other day. I think Leeds they had enough wake up calls. Now's the time. Losing at home to MK, they're like, all right, all right, boys. We haven't lost at home to MK in 2 years. We got to lock in now. And Sheffield sadly got the end of that. We've always said it last year. Whenever Leeds lost, it was kind of like, bang, we're here.
You don't want to be the team to play them next.
They don't like losing two in a row. I know they didn't lose two in a row, but they never do. And so yeah, they've got some decently toughish. I think they got double header against Telford next week, but they only had a 1 game weekend as well. So it was like
you could put everything into it.
And then go out for Halloween afterwards with some interesting costumes.
When we speak about Sam Gospel's start, by the way, we're saying that's probably a poor start for his standards because of the standards he's set. That's a decent little start for any goalie, really, but for his standards, he'll be looking to be at that top save percentage, and I think it's really starting to show now and come into practice. Just want to shout him out. Matt Bissonnette just keeps on ticking along, doesn't he? 28 points now, Dan. He's now up to second in the points tally. Another 4 points on Saturday night. Yeah, fair enough. I think we knew the talent coming in. We question maybe is he going to be able to match the intensity of Leeds, but yeah, he's just a joke, isn't he?
Yeah, I think now they're definitely getting a lot more used to how he plays now as well. I think he's come into that Leeds team. Obviously, they are a very quick team, but they're starting to sort of play around Bissonnette now because he does play the game at his own pace.
Yeah.
And when you have Bissonnette playing the game at his own pace is the best Bissonnette you can have. And I think at the start of the season, he had a bit of a slow start for his standards again. Like the team are obviously they've been playing that way for ages now, and that's the way that's been obviously drilled into them. But I think now they're starting to really see what Bissonnette can do, and obviously they knew what he could do, and it's just sort of implementing it now into their play style. And I mean, it's never going to be a bad thing if you can play alongside Bissonnette because the guy's unreal with the puck, and the way he can see the ice and sees the pass every time is unmatched as well with any other player in this league.
Yeah, and the final thing I'll say is the fact Leeds are doing this, and we know Kieran Brown hasn't hit the fifth, sixth gear, which we know he can. So Kieran Brown's still got levels to go up, and obviously he had that injury, so he's probably still trying to get back to fully fitness. But yeah, the fact that Brown can go up another levels is just even more scary for the league. And I agree, Charlie. I would not be surprised if they just go on and win 8 to 10 games in a row.
You see their goals conceded?
Is it low? Is it?
It's really underrated. I didn't quite realize how low it was. Their goals against, they've conceded 36 in 13 games, which is the best goals to game ratio in the league. Um, they are Swindon and them have conceded 10 less than anybody else. Leeds are really good defensively still. I think they actually started off the year a little bit shaky, but I think now their decor's kind of locked in as well, which has been really important for them. And yeah, they're not too far off scoring the most amount of goals too. So
Won't be
yeah,
long. Won't be long.
they're not
But
bad
then we
either.
saw the total opposite on Sunday. The Sheffield Steel Dogs get blown out 7-0 to the Leeds Knights, and then they just go and beat top of the table Milton Keynes 3-2 at home, where they have dropped a few points this season. A cup game as well. Just just a massive like this is the thing, Dan. They can beat anyone on their day, but they can also lose to anyone on their day. And I think this is the best of Sheffield, isn't it? And this is what they can do. And it's just the switch in mentality and stuff and just clicking on the day, isn't it? I don't know how to describe because we've not watched them enough together, but it's so weird how they go from losing 7-0 and then go and beating top of the table Milton Keynes, isn't it? It's just I don't really know what to say on it.
Yeah, I think obviously going back home is obviously a big
Yeah.
help. Like we've said many times, the home advantage is a big thing this year. So going back home is definitely big. Sometimes after you've had that loss, sometimes that can bring out someone else in those players. Yeah, getting a heavy defeat like that, they're not going to go out again and sort of play the same way. The coach wouldn't expect them to go out like that. They would have got a good speaking to after that game, and he would have obviously drilled in a different sort of game plan. Um, and they know what they're going into with MK. They had a really good road game earlier on in the season in MK. I think they got it to a shootout or
Yeah, they
overtime.
did, yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think with MK, it's sort of you sort of know what game they're going to play. Leeds can be a bit more; they can change it up a little bit, but
Yeah.
with MK, you can sort of prepare for it. And I think they just made sure they were just really solid. Obviously, shut down all their big guys. Having Venus and Sisters, is he back or just Venus?
Sisters wasn't, it was just Venus.
Yeah, so just Venus, and obviously shutting down the big guys and just making sure they can obviously protect their goalie as well. So just a
Yeah.
solid game from them.
I think it's a massive positive. Their mindset could have been quite negative going into that Sunday, but actually to be able to go from losing like that to then just reset and go again, Charlie, I think is a credit to that team. And Ben Norton actually got injured or taken off during the game, and Curtis Warburton come in, and he actually had a really good game. And he made some big saves at the end. I know Milton Keynes put a lot of pressure on him, so that it's just a big win all around for a lot of confidence to a lot of those players, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's just a classic example of a team which is full of so many new players. Some nights it works and some nights it doesn't. Obviously, when you've got a team like Leeds's and Swindon's and even Hull's, there's a level of establishment of kind of players who have played there for so long. So there's a level of consistency. You kind of know what you're going to get. But whereas Sheffield are just full of so many new players that one night it doesn't work, and then the next night it really does work. And yeah, I think it was a big result, and I think it's big for Warburton as well. He's obviously been back up, and I think Norton's been the starter, and Norton's been very good this year. But Warburton stepped up when he came in. I don't know what his statistics have been like, but if he is needed to be relied on, if Norton has got an injury, he put in a good first shift to get the confidence going.
Yeah.
And yeah, they got some young talents in that team which are getting going. And yeah, I think they killed some big penalties in that game as well.
As for Milton Keynes, that game penalty minutes, 14 penalty minutes in that game, seven different minors, Dan. And I think when you're going on these away games, I think you've got to stay out of the box. I think that's you've got to stay out of the box in every game. I get that, but with there being such a big home advantage and play teams practicing their power plays on their rink in training, you've got to stay out of the box. And it sounds like the discipline on Sunday compared to the discipline they had against Swindon was a bit different, wasn't it?
Yeah, 100%. I think it might probably have been because they weren't as in control as they were on Saturday.
Yeah,
They're obviously in control for quite a bit of Saturday's game. It sort of went both ways, but I feel like in Sheffield, just by looking at the game, I reckon Sheffield, obviously on their home ice, probably controlled the game a bit more,
yeah,
and obviously had more of that puck possession. So you do get desperate, and I think when they are getting desperate and obviously trying to get the puck back and stuff like that, I think you can give away some silly penalties. And yeah, I mean, I'm not sure did Sheffield score any power play
yeah.
goals
He
on the
did. The
night.
first goal
So
was a power
so
play.
yeah, it made them pay. And you think you could look at it this way: if you don't give away that penalty on that power play, it will be a 2-2 game, and you take it to overtime and get a point. But
Yeah.
it's just the way you can look at it after the game and when you're in the game.
Hey, them losing just keeps it even more tighter at the top. I think first to seventh is separated by 4 points. I know Swindon have 2 games in hand as well. So yeah, it's just so tight at the top. The whole Seahawks, they get the back-to-back wins over the Berkshire Bees. Again, just a dominant performance. Sobchak another 3 points. Chamberlain another 3 points. Yeah, just I don't think we need to speak too much on it. We're just reiterating what they did in that first game against the Bees, and I think the Bees in this game were even more short benched. Yeah, wow, yeah, they literally had 6 forwards. Um, yeah,
What?
6 forwards they had in that game.
No, 10 forwards, I think.
No, it says Rossbottom, Goodbye, Stead, Dan Rose, Balaz, Erskine, and William Birch. So 7 forwards, 6 D-men.
Bloody
Oh my
hell.
goodness, yeah. I don't think you're going to win in Hull with that. But obviously, there's something there where they're missing quite a few players. But yeah, we know what Hull are like. They've not lost at home this season. I think it's going to take a lot for a team to beat them at their own place. And they got over 1,004. They got nearly 1.5k fans on the weekend. The Seahawks are definitely growing in fan base every week. And apparently, it was really cool to see their board going as well. Apparently, they've managed to get some video footage on their boards in between, and we know how good that is at Swindon. So, yeah, a lot of improvements being made on and off the ice for Hull, and it's good to see. The Peterborough Phantoms in their only game of the weekend. I think they're on a 6 game home win streak now. They beat the Solway Sharks 3-2. It's always hard to come into a game when it's on the Sunday and you've not had a game on the Saturday, but they got the job done, Charlie. And Cam Huff was back on the goals. I know he's not scored for a few games, but he again then gets the game winning goal and gets Peterborough another home win and another 2 points, which is a big 2 points for them.
Yeah, they're in the mix. They're in a good position. And yeah, they got good top line. And yeah, they're just good at home. They're a tough team to beat. I think they're going under the radar a little bit at the moment because they didn't particularly do great in the cup
Yeah.
through some of their things. But yeah, they beat Milton Keynes at home. They beat Swindon there. They beat Solway there. It's going to be a tough place for anyone to go to. And if they can tweak the away form slightly, but they got another player back. Duncan Spears came back for his first game this weekend. So adding them extra bodies, adding them second, third liners back into the roster. Hopefully Jasper will be back soon, and it makes a big difference for the team.
Yeah, it's just bodies back. Gardiner got 2 goals, both assisted by Dunbar, so it's quite top line heavy for the Sharks. But as you said, it's so hard to go to Peterborough. It's a weird rink to play at. We all know it. We've known it for years. And the Phantoms have just established themselves as being able to get results done there on home ice, and we've spoken so much about the home ice advantage this season. So a big points for 2 points for Peterborough. Solway, it's it's, it's only 3-2. I don't think they'll be too disheartened from it, and they've got 2 games at home this weekend, so those 2 games are quite big for them. The Telford Tigers, it's another tough one, and this was the Yokoyama game, and they actually give him man of the match as well. I'm sure the Telford fans maybe didn't like that. I don't. Maybe they did actually. I saw a lot of Telford fans did like Yokoyama. But Dan, 1 goal, 2 assists on the night for Yokoyama, 3 power play goals for the Raiders. The Romford Raiders just show all their top guys scoring in that game. That is where, oh, it was 6-4 win, by the way, I forgot to mention, but that is where you just, Romford just dominate it offensively, don't they?
Yeah, 100%. Shufelt, he got on the point. He got on the point sheet quite a lot. I think he got 4 or 5 points.
Yeah, he got one, two, three, four assists and a goal.
Yeah, so I mean that's what you want from your imports. And Shufelt, you've obviously got Miller as well, and Schufelt's normally sort of been the second guy to Miller, but Schufelt's really been picking up recently, and he's
Yeah.
sort of been getting on the point sheet quite a lot. And I think when Romford have all their top Brits going and all their imports going, they're such a dangerous team because of the way they play. They're such a high, heavy forechecking team, and I know Miller and Shufelt love to play that way as well. So when they're thriving with that, and you've obviously got the Brits that can follow up with that as well, and you've obviously got Ethan James as well that can stay hot. When he's hot, he's really, really hot.
Yeah.
And so Raiders are a team when they're all thriving. They're a perfect team, and they can beat anyone on their day. And obviously they made Telford pay a lot for the power plays that they gave him as well.
Yeah. The new imports, Charlie Henderson, actually, he got a 3-point night. It's one of them where they just need to settle into the team now. I think Telford have now just got to settle these two new imports in the team, and results will come eventually. They will come eventually. They've just got it. They've made the changes now, and now they've got to just try and go with it with these new changes. And then they do look good, these new two guys, and they will score points in this league. But they've just got to now give it time. A bit like Romford last season. They had quite a few changes after it didn't go too well at the start. They've now got this team, and they've just got to go with it now, haven't they?
Yeah, like they I think they got on the off the plane on like Thursday, Wednesday. They had 1 or 2 training sessions, and you're chucked into a team which isn't playing at its best. It's not easy, and it's going to take a week or 2 or 3 or 4 to settle in. It does take time. But yeah, they need some of their guys to step up in some games, and they did get the point past Bristol, which isn't the end of the world. They did pick up 1 point there. And against Romford, it was a bit of a kick in the teeth having Yokohama kind of come in and play really well. But yeah, I think their imports will be good. Their CVs speak for themselves, and I do think they were upgrades. They were an upgrade on Yokohama. It's going to take a couple weeks for them to get their skates going, and it takes time sometimes for imports to realize this is like the most goal fest league out there. It takes time for imports to you mentioned Shootout, Dan. Shootout's probably started to realize find his game in a league where there's so many goals, and when they do find that, they start scoring a lot themselves. But to get a 3-point night in your second game of the league is not a bad start. And yeah, I think Telford will get going. They just need some of their big names to really step up and drag them through wins. But they did get 4 points the weekend before, so they're on 5 points in 2 weekends, which isn't the worst.
Yeah, I think defensively as well, they just need to just help Brad Day. They just got to help Brad Day. Yeah, they've just got to help Brad Day and try and keep the pack out of the net because they've now not been short of scoring this season. We've said it every podcast, Dan. They score goals. The final game is the overtime loss. Wow, it's the overtime win for the Bristol Pitbulls, the comeback. And it was a weird game, wasn't it, Charlie? Obviously, the first two goals, we expected Swindon to take that pressure and put the pressure on them and dominate on the ice. And Bristol were clinical. They got two breakaway goals, 2 goals in the first period. Bailey Harewood again doing his thing. Lipsy with a nice finish. We got back into the game. Obviously, Britnell and Wells scoring really nice goals. We got that 4-2 lead. And we weren't playing at our best. I think you could see we put so much into it the night before. And then they just got back into the game with that power play goal. And it was, yeah, it wasn't great to watch as a Swindon fan, was it?
It was annoying. I was quite angry at the end, but yeah, it was one of them performances. Bristol did well. They dug deep, and they're doing what they didn't do last year, and it's credit to them and Barry as a coach and the team. They've dug deep, and they look. I thought at one point, yeah, we're going to close this out, and then we didn't. It's frustrating, but it's also credit to Bristol. They screened the goalie really well. Nick Price looks like a different player to what he looked like at the start of the year. Again, just an import who settled. And now he's settled. He looks really, really good. Tanner Butler looked like the Tanner Butler from the start of last year.
Really good.
Apart from the silly cross-checking penalty. But yeah, he was electric with some of his points. Yeah, they dug deep, man. Napier, he's doing what we expected him to do, what was put on him at the start of the year, and yeah, he had a good celly as well, as much as I hated it. It's just from a Swindon point of view, it's frustrating. We were 2 goals up against, I think they were like 10th when we were playing them. Obviously, they've gone up to 8th, and we were at home, but we look a bit depleted. We look tired from the MK game, which is an excuse because they had Telford the day before, but we did look tired from that big game. We put a lot into that game, and yeah, just got to pick ourselves up, move on to Solway. But yeah, it's 3 wins on the bounce for Bristol. Fair play, man. Like, I'll be honest, I didn't expect them to do it. I'll hold my hands up. I put them bottom of the league. I thought they finished bottom quite comfortably, and they're proving me wrong. So yeah, they're winning games, which maybe they shouldn't, but that's exactly how you need to play. They're sitting on Nappy, and Nappy's doing well. He's keeping them in games. And yeah, I thought Bristol were good, and I thought Swindon were good in periods. I thought we didn't close out the game great, and yeah, the third period was a bit of a two-sided period.
Yeah, it's one of them, Dan. We spoke before the start of the season about obviously with Napier, and we know how high level he is. And the defense just got to help him. Napier's got to learn from them, but they've also got to learn on the strengths of so Napier can play his best. And in that last 5 minutes, or it was last 3 minutes, Bristol tied it up, and then from then on we just pressured and pressured and pressured. As long as Napier sees the puck, he is going to save it 9 times, 10 times out of 10, isn't he? Because one of those saves, he saw the puck and he just caught it straight away. Like, he is such a big goalkeeper, and his positioning is so strong. And the way you've got to try and beat him is try and move him about. But I thought the Bristol defence really stepped up and didn't let us do it in that final period. It was actually quite. So Bristol had 2 breakaway in the first period. We had 2 breakaway in the final period. And then the rest of that was just kind of scrappy kind of goals and screening goals kind of thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think what you can see from Bristol and Swindon is the massive energy difference.
Yeah.
You can see Bristol are a very young team, and they have got that energy. And in those games like that, you are gonna obviously have the advantage over a team like Swindon that have obviously like the older players now. And I think it was really, really positive from Bristol that they didn't drop their heads and they took the time out. And after the timeout, you could noticeably see a difference. They had obviously thought out a game plan in that timeout, and it really shown what they were doing. And they were just crashing net, taking shots from the point. Obviously, Mar would have obviously wanted his D man to sort of clear the crease a little bit more than they did. But I think just the goals that they got, they weren't the prettiest of goals. Well, I mean, Price's goal was unbelievable. That was a really nice goal. But the Butler goal was just a shot on net, and Mar didn't see it. And at that time of the game, you don't really care how it goes in. And that energy just carried through, and the momentum that they got just carried through to overtime. And that was when, again, you could really see the energy difference and how much energy and speed that Bristol team have got and how dangerous they can be on the break.
I think we did miss Pluzzi, especially because he is probably one of the best demon at just clearing that pathway for Mar to see the puck, and he likes to play that physical, just getting him out of the way, pushing him wide kind of thing. So we did miss Pluzzi, but he'll be back this weekend, and yeah, we'll need him because it's going to be tough in Solway. So that was this weekend a really big win for the Pitbulls. I think they are the team of the week if we have to pick one. Been really impressed with them the last few weeks after watching quite a few of their games. So fair play to them. Yeah, it is looking so tight. I'm going on to the standings now. Sorry. So Milton Keynes are at the top on 20 points. Leeds on 19. Hull on 19. Romford on 16 with Sheffield on 16. Peterborough on 16. And then Swindon have got 14 but 2 games in hand. And then the playoff battle. Bristol on 10, Solway on 9, Berkshire on 9, and Telford on 7. It is just so tight. I love how tight it is from a National League point of view. It's just so good for the league. We're seeing shock results every single week. And it just keeps getting better and better. And do you know what's even better? There's some midweek games this week. So we've got some action to fuel us during the week as well. On the Tuesday, tomorrow, as this has come out, probably while this is out, the Sheffield Hull game is on. So Sheffield host Hull, and that'll be an absolute cracker, a Yorkshire derby or an up north derby. And then on the Wednesday, we've got Telford Peterborough. Now I think I'm going to be on my own on that one, but I am going to go to Telford because I want to go and watch some hockey. So I'll be going to that one, and then on Friday is the big one, the Romford Raiders against the Milton Keynes. We've been putting this in our diary, haven't we, Dan? We're obviously going to be making the trip. Charlie's going to come with you as well. We've got a very nice 3 days of hockey in store. I know you've taken the days off work as well.
Yeah, 100%. Obviously, anything for hockey. It's going to be a really good weekend. And yeah, obviously the MK Raiders game, we've been speaking about it for ages now, and I can't wait. I'm really interested to see how both teams play. It's the rink where MK have really struggled in the past few seasons, and I think both teams have really changed a lot the way they play, and obviously how Raiders do at home as well. They've just got so much better in their on their own rink, and yeah, it's going to be a really interesting game, and it could get a bit chippy. It could be a bit more, a bit more relaxed, or it could be a bit more structured. But you just don't know with those two teams, and especially with Romford, the way they come out. So it'll be exciting. I can't wait.
You know what I can't wait for? Being on the other end of it this side. We've had to stand on that corner and witness and hear all of the noise, and we can be a part of that noise on Friday for probably the only time in that stand. I can't wait to feel the atmosphere up there. So we're looking forward to that. And I hope the Raiders fans welcome us with open arms into the stands. But yeah, that is it all wrapped up. We've got our weekend off in Solway, so we're going to be shattered on Monday, I think. But we'll still get an episode done. Thank you, Ethan, again for hopping on. We appreciate that. We hope you've enjoyed this episode. It's probably been a bit of a longer one. Charlie, anything else to add? You're on mute. He's on mute. What a brat! What a
Idiot.
brat!
Idiot.
I'm gonna go to bed.
Get him off.
Go on.
Get
What,
him
what were
off.
you saying before you?
Yeah, I'm going to bed.
We appreciate you tuning in. It's nice to have you back. Charlie's still adjusting for the time from Japan. He'd be fast asleep at the moment. So yeah, we'll see you in the next one. Make sure to come say hello if you see us at any of the games. Peace.